Hey, nature photographers, it is yet again your generally friendly, maybe I could also say occasionally feisty OM System Photo Pro Ambassador. You know what? I'm very proud of those two titles. I work my butt off and I love both of those companies. I'm so grateful to represent them. So, hey, I'm back. I'm in the Washington area right now as you're watching this, leading a private workshop. It's birds in flight. Hopefully we had some orcas and other cool cetaceans on a boat trip. Olympic National Park. Dungeness Spit, which I haven't been to in a while, which is outstanding. So watch for me putting together a workshop in that area, probably OM System only in the future. I'm going to be adding more and more OM System only. Going to be looking at some unique areas in Brazil, a special reptile and amphibian. Oh, some beautiful, very rare frogs I'm looking at. So I got some cool stuff lined up for you in the future. But guess what today's video is? A topic that just drives me nuts. Can you shoot a high ISO image with OM System? Now, some of you may have seen some of these before, but I want you to keep watching this one because repetition is the key to learning well. And I'm going to show you some stuff in Lightroom here that I think will be really handy. I am constantly amazed how often I still hear people, even people who say they watch my YouTube channel or have learned from me, who don't believe you can shoot at high ISO. Well, I've got an image to prove you wrong. So I'm going to bring you some freedom. I'm going to bring you some relief in that, yes, you can. And I'm going to teach you how right after this. Hello, my name is Lee Hoy, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Lee Hoy Photography. I'm an OM System Ambassador, Senior Workshop Instructor for Wildside Nature Tours. I'm a workshop instructor for Precision Camera and Video, and a contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. All right. Can I just say that as OM System has evolved, especially for me, I came into OM System, obviously Olympus, when it was the EM1X and the OMD EM1 Mark III, those and Mark II, those are my first cameras, okay? And when the EM1X came out, I generally would shoot up to ISO 6400. Now with modern software, I could go higher, but that was kind of my limit. And I often tried to be below that. Missed a lot of shots because my shutter speed would be too slow. When the OM1 came out, I just started wondering and experimenting, and I discovered that I'd been leaving a lot of shots on the table because I was not taking full advantage of what I had in front of me. And a software, DxO Pure Raw, also came into my life. I believe it was on DxO Raw, Pure Raw 2 or 3. I can't remember which one I bought first. And that revolutionized my ability to shoot at high ISO. Now, right here's my discount code for DxO Pure Raw, DxO Photo Labs, and Nik Collection. So if you like to do black and white, Silver Effects is my favorite conversion software. Lee DxO 15 right here. So let's talk about shooting at high ISO before I jump in and show you an example. These are the things that I teach everybody. Now, I primarily shoot high ISO for wildlife. Landscape, I'm either on a tripod or if I'm hand holding, I might push it. Maybe 1600 ISO in landscape, but because I'm working on a tripod and shutter speed is somewhat irrelevant, not completely. I'm not worried about ISO in terms of needing to go higher because I'm not pushing it to a 15-second handheld exposure. Macro, I'm normally using flash, but if I'm using my long lens with no flash, then I'll push my ISO up because that's pretty much the same as wildlife photography. Night sky, we're doing high ISO often by necessity, although stacking Milky Way images can help reduce that ISO. Then, if I'm doing, let's see, macro, night sky, landscape, wildlife, yeah, that pretty much covers it, right? Let's talk about shooting at high ISO. Here are the key things I need you to keep in mind. Number one, we need to expose to the right. This video is not about exposing to the right, but the principle is I want to expose as far to the right as possible without blowing out the highlights unless the subject or the scene warrants it, okay? Now, if our subject is wildlife, we really don't want to blow out highlights on our subject unless it's rim lighting, backlighting, very unique situations. But we want to expose the right to collect as much data as possible. Why? pulling our exposure down to make it more visually appealing never creates noise. Brightening an image can create noise. Okay? So expose the right. Start with a sharp shot. I don't waste time trying to fix blurry images. I'm not going to teach you how to fix blurry images. I'm going to teach you how to capture awesome images to start with. So for particularly a lot of you older folks that have a long lens, and by long I mean the 100 to 400, whether it's version 1 or 2, the 150 to 600 especially, the 150 to 400, the 300, for just a while, shoot your lowest shutter speed at 1/2500th of a second. Just try. See if your photography doesn't get better. For God's sake, just try. What do you have to lose? How many blurry shots do you want? So again, principle number 1, expose the right. Principle number 2, start with a sharp shot. Now, I often say principle 3, don't crop the crap out of it. That's still a very good principle. And I like most of my images you see. In fact, in my metadata that I'm posting on social media with my images, I'm now including whether it's cropped or uncropped, and if it's cropped, how much? Because I rarely crop. I'm including whether it's handheld and if I processed it with DxO Pure Raw or Silver Effects. So I'm trying to give as much data as possible in my metadata. If you don't follow me on social media, go to Lee Hoy on Facebook, Lee Hoy Photography on Instagram, okay? So our 3 principles. Expose the right, start with a sharp shot, don't crop the crap, although you can with high ISO. Shh. Don't be talking about that one. Okay? And then number 4, and this is very important, DxO Pure Raw. Now it's on 5, version 5, DxO Pure Raw 5. I know there's other softwares. DxO is so fast. It works as a plug into Lightroom, and boom, I love it. Okay? So let me give you an example of an image that I just captured in Brazil with this workshop. We were at our first lodge, which I absolutely love. Okay? And it's at the northern end of the Trans-Pantanal Highway, and we get some really nice birds in flight, birds, mammals. We had giant anteater. We had some, we have macaws. We have a lot of beautiful birds. This year there was great water abound, caimans, capybara. It's a great spot. But we had a savanna hawk fly in and land on a post. And this image was captured during civil twilight. If you don't know what civil twilight is, that is one of the stages of the circadian rhythm of natural light. And civil twilight is when the sun is at -6 to 0 degrees below the horizon. So it can overlap with golden hour, overlaps a little bit with blue hour. And civil twilight is before the sun is above the horizon. So it's still pretty dark, okay? And this image that I'm going to show you here, let's take a look. Let me get in here to Lightroom. Okay, let's jump on in. All right. I want you guys to take a second to assess this image. This is a portrait. Now, I'm not going to call this a visually compelling image. This is an excellent portrait of a savanna hawk. This is a nice field guide photography type shot. A little bit of side lighting, so there is a little bit of dynamic lighting on the bird. Pretty background. Kind of, this would be, instead of bird on a stick, this is bird on a fence post. But I was so close, I could shoot a portrait. The bird landed real close. Our group got in, got nice tight shots, and I'm not going to show you a fence post. And I love portraits. I like to show you the intimate side of wildlife. So would y'all say that's a pretty clean, sharp, nice looking shot? I know for the pixel peepers, let's do something here, okay? Let's zoom in. Whoops, I don't know how I did that. Okay, let's zoom in. Here's the pixel peeper view, okay? I mean, that's pretty daggum sharp. Wouldn't you say the background's pretty nice and clean? I mean, look, scapulars, tertials, right? Just a hair bit of some of the primaries, all right? Neck feathers, all right? Auriculars, the feathers here. I mean, the bill, the cere, the eye, look at that. Pretty daggum good, okay? Now, let's find out what our ISO is. You ready? I'm going to hit the I button for information. Look at this image. ISO 25,600, 1/40th of a second shutter speed handheld. Now I was kneeling down with my elbow on my knee, forming a tripod out of my own body. 1/40th of a second, 5.6 ISO 25,600. Now, I would hold the shutter button down and duh, 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 and I took a big sequence because the first and last are probably not going to be sharp, and hopefully one somewhere in the middle will be nice and sharp. I actually had quite a few sharp ones, so it was a matter of picking a head angle I really liked. So let's do this again. Look at this. Okay, nice, clean, beautiful image. What if we compared it to the original RAW file? Okay, so I'm going to go into Lightroom. I'm going to do the compare. I'm going to hide my end panels, and we're going to compare these two. Let me hide the data about it. Just so you can see, this is the OM System RAW file, my ORF, and this image here, whoops, I've got some of Lightroom hanging off the edge. This image here shows it's been processed in DxO. Let's just zoom in, whoops. Okay, look at the noise. Now, a lot of y'all would look at this and say it's not sharp. It's because you have not trained your eye to distinguish between a noisy versus a sharp shot. Are you a believer yet? 1/40th a second. This is a tack sharp shot. I can see the detail in the bird. Yes, it's noisy, it's a high ISO, but look at the image on the right. Would you rather not have a shot at all? I mean, I think I'd put that on the magazine, cover of a magazine if they wanted it. So I'm very happy with the results. I mean, 1/40th of a second, ISO 25,600. I'm not taking a photo otherwise. And again, civil twilight. Okay, civil twilight. Now, let's do something here, okay? Let me show you. I'm going to go into the develop module of Lightroom. I'm going to reset that just to. What if we cropped an ISO 25,600 image? Can we? Do we dare? Let's just see if we may. Whoops, I'm going to restrain it to my original. Let's do about that. Okay? What if? Do we dare say that possibly you can? I just cropped an OM System image with a Mark II, taken at ISO 25,600, 1/40th a second shutter speed, probably 40–50%. And look at that. Would you be happy with that shot? Now, if you post, yeah, but would you print it at 2 foot by 3 foot? Yeah, I could probably run it through through another software to enlarge it once again, and I'd be just fine. How many of y'all are printing your shit 2 foot by 3 foot? Come on. I mean, yes, you could. Most of you share your stuff on social media, and that's all it ever goes to. This is a plain, simple portrait of a hawk. This isn't going to get printed out. Okay? Could I? Yeah, I could. So, are you not yet a believer? What does it take to bust this stupid myth up? Oh, and this is very important. I wasn't using auto ISO because it would have screwed up that shot. Or shutter priority. The two worst settings that have ever been put on a camera for nature photography. But I don't give a crap. They're terrible settings. Stop trying to argue with me. I'll prove it to you. Let's go out in the field. You stand next to me, and I'll put you in some scenarios where they both will fail you miserably. Okay? ISO 25,600. Crop the crap out of it, and it still looks good. Haters going to hate, or you can learn and expand your photography. Now, yeah, I'm not shooting this bird in flight at civil twilight at 1/40th of a second, but hey, you don't get Savannah hawks flying in, 15, 20 feet away from you very often where you can get a nice close shot like this. Are you still not a believer? What do I have to show you to prove that you can shoot OM systems at high ISOs? We have live highlight alerts, so you get instant feedback on exposing the right. I exposed the right, pulled some of the exposure back down a little bit. In fact, I could even pull the exposure back down on the sear. That's the fleshy part of the bill. I could pull that down a little bit more maybe. I processed this one quickly. Again, can you shoot OM1, OM1 Mark II, the OM3, the OM5 at high ISOs? Yes, You can. You just got to master your crap. If you haven't mastered your camera, if you haven't mastered post-processing, if you haven't mastered exposure, if you haven't mastered autofocus, it's going to be much more challenging. But you can. Don't argue with me. Hey, thanks for joining me. Check out some of my workshops. You want to come shoot at high ISOs? Join me on one of my workshops. I'm going to be putting together some other Brazil destinations. I got some great stuff coming up, guys. Hop on my website. Come join me. Let's go capture some visually compelling images. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.